When the story of Great Zimbabwe ends, many assume African civilization in the region simply faded away. But that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, what followed was an incredible expansion, a new chapter in southern Africa's imperial history. This is the story of the Mutapa State, also known as the Mutapa Empire, the powerful successor that carried Great Zimbabwe's legacy forward. How did this empire rise from the ashes of its predecessor? How did it become one of the most important states in African history? Let's find out. The origins of the Mutapa State are woven directly into the fabric of Great Zimbabwe. In the 5th-10th century, as the great stone city began to decline from environmental pressures and shifting trade routes, its people didn't just disappear. They adapted. Groups began migrating north, seeking fresh resources and new opportunities. One of these groups was led by a prince named Nyatsimba Mutota, a man of royal blood from Great Zimbabwe. His mission was to find new sources of salt, a precious commodity. This journey wasn't a retreat. It was a strategic relocation, a continuation of Great Zimbabwe's culture and political ambition in a new land. Around the year 1450, Prince Mutota and his followers established a new power base north of the Zambezi River. He successfully brought local communities under his control, established a system of tribute, and secured vital trade routes. For his achievements, he earned the title Mutapa, which means Lord of the Conquered Lands. He had laid the foundation of an empire. After his death, his son and successor, Mutapa continued this expansion with incredible success, transforming his father's new state into a vast, organized, and powerful empire that would dominate the region for centuries. Just how big was this new empire? The Mutapa State commanded an enormous territory, stretching across what is now northern Zimbabwe and into parts of modern-day Mozambique and Zambia. Its heartland was the fertile Zambezi Valley, a strategic corridor perfect for agriculture, trade, and communication. This prime location gave the empire two crucial advantages: control over rich gold fields and direct access to the bustling trade routes leading to the Indian Ocean. From this powerful position, the Mutapa could project his influence far and wide, building an empire that rivaled its famous predecessor. The political structure of the Mutapa State would have been very familiar to anyone from Great Zimbabwe. It was a centralized monarchy, ruled by the Mutapa himself. The king was more than just a political leader. He was the supreme military commander and the spiritual head of the nation. All land technically belonged to him, and he would grant it to provincial chiefs who governed on his behalf. These local leaders, in turn, paid tribute to the king, sending goods and resources back to the capital. Loyalty was reinforced through strategic marriage alliances and the ever-present threat of the king's military power. This sophisticated system of governance allowed the Mutapa State to effectively manage its vast and diverse territory. What fueled this mighty empire? A strong and diverse economy. Agriculture was the foundation of society, with farmers cultivating millet, sorghum, and later, maize. This stable food supply supported a large and growing population. Just like at Great Zimbabwe, cattle were more than just livestock. They were a potent symbol of wealth and social status. But the true engine of the Mutapa economy was gold. The state controlled the region's rich gold mines and managed its trade, ensuring a steady stream of wealth flowed directly into the royal court. This economic strength gave the Mutapa the resources needed to maintain his army, reward his followers, and build his empire. The Mutapa State inherited and expanded upon Great Zimbabwe's vast international trade network. From the interior, caravans carried gold and ivory to the Swahili coast, where they were exchanged with merchants for exotic goods from across the globe. Cloth, vibrant beads, and fine ceramics made their way back to the royal court, showcasing the empire's wealth and global connections. Then, in the early 1500s, a new group of traders arrived on the coast, the Portuguese. Initially, the Mutapa rulers skillfully used the Portuguese to gain trade advantages and acquire new technologies like firearms. However, this relationship would eventually become a double-edged sword, as Portuguese ambition and interference began to sow the seeds of future conflict and instability. Mutapa society was organized in a clear hierarchy. At the very top was the royal family, living in luxury and wielding immense power. Below them were nobles, provincial chiefs, and influential spirit mediums. Further down were the skilled craftsmen and traders, who kept the economy moving, and at the base of the pyramid were the farmers and herders who formed the backbone of the empire. Most people lived in villages, following customs and traditions passed down through generations. Oral history was vital. Elders were the keepers of knowledge, responsible for educating children and preserving the stories of their ancestors. A deep respect for authority and the ancestral world was at the core of their culture, a direct inheritance from Great Zimbabwe. Religion wasn't just a part of life in the Mutapa State. It was central to its governance. The people believed in a supreme creator god, known as Mari, but it was the ancestral spirits who were thought to intervene directly in the world of the living, protecting the state and its people. Spirit mediums held a position of great influence, advising the king on critical matters like warfare, agriculture, and justice. The king's own authority was believed to be divinely sanctioned by the ancestors, a spiritual legitimacy that connected him directly to the founding fathers of Great Zimbabwe. This fusion of political and spiritual power was the ultimate source of the Queen Mutapa's rule. Despite its power and influence, the Mutapa State was not destined to last forever. By the 17th century, the empire began to show signs of weakness. A key factor was the growing interference of the Portuguese, who meddled in local politics to gain control over the gold trade. Their presence fueled internal divisions and succession disputes among rival claimants to the throne. As infighting weakened the central government, the empire started to lose its grip on vital trade routes and gold fields. Power began to fragment and shift away from the capital. It was during this period of decline that a new formidable power began to rise from within the empire's southern territories, the Mozambique state. The Mutapa State was far more than just a footnote in history. It was the direct political and cultural heir to Great Zimbabwe. It carried forward the region's sophisticated traditions of stone building, centralized monarchy, and spiritual governance. It commanded a vast trading empire built on gold, connecting southern Africa to the wider world. Together, Great Zimbabwe and Mutapa proved that this region was home to advanced, organized, and deeply interconnected African civilizations for centuries. The story of Zimbabwe is not one of sudden collapse, but one of remarkable resilience and continuity. Thank you for watching. In our next episode, we'll explore the rise of the Mozambique state, a warrior kingdom that challenged both the Portuguese and the declining Mutapa to forge a new destiny. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to join us on our next journey into the past.